how can we possibly have a supply problem? Look at all the land assemblies. Look at all the cranes. There are areas of Vancouver that look like just getting decimated. They look like construction zones. All right, wanted to comment on affordability. How do we get there? What's the best strategy? And there's two sides to this. There's those that think we need to tax and regulate the industry into submission. Let's go to war with the investors and speculators and realtors, go to war with the development industry. Then there's those who think we might need to try a more free market approach. Let's galvanize the free market enterprise system to build the tens of thousands of homes that we need. And let's incentivize more development. Maybe go easy on the community amenity contributions and development cost levies that the city of Vancouver charges. Eliminate the GST, that kind of thing. So two very different strategies. I would argue we've tried taxing and regulating the market into submission for many years now. I've said from the very beginning, it's not going to be effective for obvious reasons. This is all about optics. The BC NDP is just taking their pound of flesh. The city of Vancouver is taking their pound of flesh, and it's only going to make things more expensive. And that's exactly what's happened here. So I think the conversation now is changing to how do we get more supply into the marketplace. We see that in politics at all levels. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have come out swinging on this. And the guy's absolutely right. We have a housing crunch. According to the CMHC, Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, we need an additional 3.5 million new homes built from now until 2030, in addition to what we're already building. And that's just to keep prices in check. So we have a real problem here, especially with the aggressive immigration targets set by the Trudeau Liberals. But I do have a lot of clients, when we're driving along, say, the Broadway or Cambie corridor or Kingsway, or driving past that massive Oakridge development, and they'll say to me, Jay, how can we possibly have a supply problem? Look at all the land assemblies. Look at all the cranes. There are areas of Vancouver that look like just getting decimated. They look like construction zones. First of all, in order to get construction financing, these developers typically need roughly 60% or more of these pre-sold. That's before they get the financing, before they even get shovels in the ground. So when these complete in 3 or 4 years, or in some cases longer now, because these are getting delayed now, they're all spoken for. I know it's crazy. It's hard for people to wrap their heads around it. I find it hard myself when I go along the Cambie corridor, as an example. How can we possibly have a supply problem? But we do. So according to Oxford Economics here, they did a study on this. They say that it is actually impossible to build enough supply to meet the demand. And according to this study, you would actually need to increase completions, housing completions, by 70%, roughly 70%. So when you're driving along the Cambie or the Broadway corridor or Kingsway or Oakridge or wherever it might be, I want you to visualize 70% more construction, 70% more density. That's what it would take to keep prices in. That's not even to bring down prices. That's to keep prices in check. It's incredible. Now, my detractors will say, well, wait, haven't prices corrected here? We've got plenty of supply for everyone. Well, we had the sharpest increase in interest rates here since the 1980s. This has been incredible. So yeah, that has definitely kept a lid on prices. We did get a correction here, but as I speak, we are pretty well getting close to all-time peak prices again, and interest rates are starting to come down. So that interest rates are the only thing that are keeping a lid on prices, and they're going to start to gradually come down into 2025 here. But developers understand this. That's why they're building these master plan communities. A lot of it's towards Burnaby and Coquitlam because they're more friendly to developers. The amazing Brentwood, of course, you've got this city of Lougheed development. Again, they're building an entire city out there, and they're going to be building these on pretty well every transit hub because developers understand the scale required. They know the city's moving east. And Vancouver just doesn't have capacity for all of these people. But for those of you that are hoping for this big correction, and I've been hearing this now for the last 4 or 5 years, waiting for prices to come down 40, 50%. And I've said for a long time now, I think you're going to be disappointed. And the reason for that is when you do get a correction in Vancouver real estate, typically it's 10, 12, 15%. Every few years, you're going to get that. And then the market will take off again. But when you get these corrections, remember that developers, they have hard costs. So the cost of labor and building materials and taxes are all going up and up. What these developers will do, they're not going to flood the market with inventory and flood the market and then have to offload a glut of inventory. What happens is they're going to pull back. They're going to continue to monitor the market and wait for prices to come pick up again to a point where that pro forma makes sense. So they're going to be sidelined. And once the market starts going up again, which it eventually will, that's when they're going to start building again. And we see that downtown because we have the ultra luxury market downtown right now. And I'm talking about, for instance, that Pacific, the Burrard Place, the Butterfly, which is just capping off here, the Kingokuma. These are all super luxury developments. You know, those are a hard sell right now. I get some assignments on those across my desk here and there. Good luck assigning these. These are well over $2,000 a square foot. That market has taken a hit here. So what have developers done? They've stepped back and they're not building anything right now. So that will, of course, set the stage for the next surge in real estate prices. That's your typical market cycle in Vancouver. And that puts a bit of a floor under how far prices can fall, in my opinion. But again, just to recap, taxing and regulating the market into submission will not work. I could do a whole video on all the taxes that have been implemented by all levels of government over the last decade. It's not going to work. It's going to make things more expensive. I continue to be a proponent of supply. But again, as this Oxford Economics report states, there are limits to how far we can bring down home prices by increasing the supply. And if you're expecting the price of Vancouver to be in alignment with your, say, local blue-collar income, I believe the median income here is around household income, that's dual income, is around $90,000. If you're expecting home prices to come down into alignment with that, I continue to think you're going to be very disappointed here. This is, as I've said for years now, it's only going to get more difficult. It's only going to get more expensive. And the only relief you're ever going to get on the prices would be basically when interest rates increase, but now your monthly payments are going up. I'm Jay Coupar. Feel free to comment below or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.